The Russian Defense Ministry says nearly 1,000 Ukrainian troops holed up in their last stronghold in Mariupol have now handed themselves over. For the latest on the Russian offensive and invasion, we go live to CTV's Paul Workman in Kyiv. Paul, thanks for joining us. So Mariupol very much lays in ruin, yet we hear more reports of the sort of Russians in retreat in multiple areas. Has the balance on the battlefield shifted at all?
I think it's certainly shifted in this city around here in Kyiv for sure, and to the northeast in the second largest city in Kharkiv, where the Russians have essentially been routed. They've been pushed back towards the Russian border, not entirely yet. It's not been the space, the region has not been entirely liberated, but it seems very clear that Russia is not going to try to contest these two major cities anymore. They've given up on them. At the same time, they've been unable to make any strong gains or push forward in the eastern part of the country. And in fact, they're digging in now into defensive positions. The one bright spot in all of that for the Russians is that they now control all of Mariupol, with the remaining soldiers having come out of, or quite a number of the remaining soldiers having come out of that steel plant where they'd taken refuge. So Russia can now claim a great victory there. This was what Vladimir Putin will absolutely do to try to deflect any criticism at home about the war not going very well, George.
Yeah, and Paul, speaking of Putin, it appears Nordic NATO membership with Sweden and Finland is imminent unless Turkey votes against it. But Putin kind of says no big deal here. However, that wasn't European expansion the main motive for his special military operation in the first place?
Absolutely. It was certainly to stop Ukraine from joining NATO or being considered for membership. And now you've got Finland and Sweden saying they very much want to be a part of NATO. So Putin's strategy seems to have backfired. He's now trying to put the best face on it that he possibly can. He essentially said today that he doesn't find Finland and Sweden to be a direct threat to Russia, which is exactly the opposite of what some of his officials were saying last week. So in some ways, he's trying to downplay this enlargement of NATO, which, by the way, is extremely significant for Europe. It's the largest expansion in the last couple of decades and gives NATO a much stronger border next to Russia. So it's really, really very important. And I think it's going to be fast-tracked. So within a year, you could have, these two new members who've got fairly substantial military capacity facing Russia.
Paul, last thing quickly. Is there any meaningful dialogue happening between the Russians and Ukrainians? Any chance at détente?
No. At this point, absolutely not. There are no talks. There seems to be no suggestion that talks will start again. The Ukrainians believe that they're pushing forward, and so they feel they have an advantage. And for the moment, I don't think they believe that there's any reason to sit down and talk to Vladimir Putin.
CTV's Paul Workman live in Kyiv, Ukraine. Paul, thank you.